They told you the ground beneath your feet was firm, that the weight of your flesh was undeniable, that the walls surrounding you stood as proof of substance. Yet what you trust as solid is nothing but the mask of reality, a grand theater of appearances woven not from matter but from motion. Stars, oceans, mountains, none of these are what they seem. They are rhythms, not things, vibrations, not objects, waves frozen into the semblance of permanence. What you call stone is not substance but frequency, a still point in an endless sea of oscillation. Your bones, your blood, even your very brain are not fixed structures, but rivers of energy flowing in patterns too swift for the senses to comprehend. You have been trained to worship the senses, to accept their reports as truth, yet they do not reveal reality. They translate rhythm. The eye shows you what it can endure, not what is. The hand grasps only resistance, never substance. The ear converts vibration into meaning, but never touches the source. You live surrounded not by reality, but by symbols, shadows projected upon the fragile screen of perception. And in this forgetfulness, you have mistaken the simulation for the source, the appearance for the essence. But the truth remains, waiting in silence. You are not a creature walking upon a distant earth, separated from its stones and skies. You are the earth observing itself, the star gazing inward, the ocean dreaming of form. You are not made of matter. You are made of light, compressed into visible shape by thought itself, animated by the will of a universal intelligence. This is not poetry. This is not mysticism. It is the first unveiling. You are not bound by matter, for matter does not exist. Imagine holding a stone in your hand. What you feel is not mass but motion, a dance of vibrations too swift for your flesh to translate. What you see is not form, but light trapped in the invisible grip of forces that your eyes cannot trace. You are surrounded by illusions as convincing as dreams, yet beneath them all lies a simple, radiant truth. All that is light in motion. This is the first remembering, the lifting of the veil. The solidity of the world begins to dissolve, and in its place emerges rhythm, energy, frequency, mind shaping itself into form. If you dare to look past the shadows, if you dare to question the senses and pierce the dream, then the journey begins. For the path ahead is not one of learning new truths, but of remembering what was never lost. You are not the observer of creation. You are creation itself, seeing through the eyes of its own design. Strip away the veil of matter, and what remains? What lingers when the walls of illusion collapse, when the solidity of form dissolves back into rhythm? The answer is both terrifyingly simple and infinitely vast. Light, not the flicker of a lamp, nor the glow of the sun upon your skin, nor the brightness your eyes translate into color. Those are but reflections, echoes, effects. True light is not what is seen. True light is that which sees. It is the primal breath of creation, the pulse that awakens the void, the silent vibration out of which all worlds are spun. Light is not bound by definition. It is not merely wave, nor particle, nor speed. It is being itself, awareness in motion. Every form you encounter, the tree, the stone, the beating of your own heart, is light held under tension, light compressed by invisible law, woven into fleeting design by the universal mind. The solidity you think you touch is only rhythm disguised as permanence, a luminous tension vibrating at frequencies too swift for your senses to catch. You are not surrounded by matter. You are bathed in light, moving through oceans of radiance, even as that radiance moves through you. Science teaches that atoms build matter and particles build atoms. But what are particles? They are not things. not objects, not fixed at all. They are centers of motion, spirals folding and unfolding in endless cycles of birth and disappearance. To believe in their solidity is to mistake the rhythm for the song. Nothing stands still. All is vibration. All is breath. The ground beneath you is light compressed. The air you draw is light uncoiling. Even the thoughts racing through your mind are frequencies, polarized sparks flickering into form. And light is not chaos. It is order, intelligence, precision. It knows how to balance itself, how to weave structure from tension and dissolve structure back into flow. This is why stars ignite and collapse, why galaxies spin and rest, why your own lungs rise and fall without your command. Compression, expansion, in-breath, out-breath, light drawn inward, light released. This is the hidden rhythm of fire, of gravity, of the pulse within your chest. Nothing escapes it. Nothing exists outside of it. Look closer, and you will see. Every pulse of your heart is the universe repeating its first gesture, the eternal exchange of compression and release. Every breath you take is the cosmos reminding you of its secret law: light in, light out. Every exhalation is a return, a restoration, a surrender. And in that surrender lies harmony, for light is not hoarded, it is cycled. Light is not owned, it is shared. And what of you? You are not standing apart from light, gazing upon it as though it were a stranger. You are light, compressed into human form, vibrating into thought, into feeling, into flesh. You are not observing the radiance. You are the radiance observing itself. You are not looking upon reality. You are shaping it with every glance, every thought, every memory. Light remembers itself through you. And if you dare to remember what you are, you will begin to see that there is no separation at all. So look again, not with the weary eyes of flesh, but with the inner gaze of awareness. Beyond the veil, beyond the illusion, beyond the endless masks of form, everything is light, and light is alive. If light is the fabric of creation, then what is the loom? What is the silent hand that shapes it into trees and rivers, into galaxies and hearts, into the very thought that now passes through your mind? The answer is closer than your own breath. Mind, not the fleeting chatter of the personal mind, entangled in memory and desire, but the universal mind, the still architect behind all that is. This mind does not belong to you or to any species. It is not confined to the skull or to neurons firing in darkness. It is the cosmos itself, dreaming itself into motion. The universe is not a machine of accidents, nor a theater of dead matter moving blindly. It is a living intelligence, continuously thinking itself into form. Creation did not happen once, long ago, etched into the bones of time. It happens now, in this instant, in the breath you take, in the thought you hold, in the unseen pulse that keeps your heart in rhythm. Every flicker of energy, every turn of a galaxy, every unfolding leaf is a thought in motion, a current of mind taking on shape, dissolving and reshaping again. You are not a spectator standing apart from this living dream. You are within it, of it, as inseparable as the flame from the fire that holds it. There is no wall between the observer and the observed, no boundary between thinker and thought. The world you perceive is not outside of you. It is filtered, sculpted, and colored by the frequencies of your own awareness. You do not see things as they are. You see them as you are. Hold an image in your mind, and that image attracts energy, weaving itself into form. Fear something deeply, and your fear breathes it into strength. Love without reserve, and life gathers itself around that vibration to reflect it back to you. This is not sorcery, It is law. The same law that gathers particles into atoms and atoms into stars gathers your thought into the fabric of your reality. To think is to create. To feel is to sculpt. To believe is to give birth to form. The mind is not bound by bone. It is not contained by time or space. It is a living field, a stream of intelligence flowing through every corner of existence, compressing light into patterns, then releasing them when attention withdraws. Form appears, form dissolves. This is the eternal tide. Your thoughts are not empty. They are architects. Your emotions are not fleeting. They are builders. The very shape of your life follows the signal you broadcast, the rhythm you hold, the truths you dare to embody. You are not here to merely react to reality. You are here to participate in it, to recognize that reality is not something you observe. It is something you generate. It is not fixed, not permanent, not out there beyond your grasp. It is a mirror, polished by your focus, reflecting not what exists, but what you allow to exist through your mind. And so, when you open your eyes to the world, the trees, the streets, the sky, the faces of strangers, you are not looking upon a separate realm. You are looking into your own consciousness, projected outward in shimmering light. The universe is not a stage upon which you walk. The universe is a thought you are dreaming. And within that dream, you are both the dreamer and the dreamed. Nothing in the universe moves without rhythm. Nothing flows without return. Behind every surge of motion is its counterwave. Behind every expansion, a contraction. Behind every birth, a dissolution. This is not belief, not myth. It is law. The law of rhythmic, balanced interchange, the eternal breath of creation. Inhale, exhale, rise, fall, tension, release. This is the pulse of existence, echoing in galaxies, in tides, in the beating of your own heart. Stars blaze into being in violent radiance only to fade into silence. Oceans swell with tidal might and recede into stillness. Forests stretch upward in exuberant green, only to surrender their leaves to the soil. Even within your chest, each breath proclaims this eternal truth. What expands must contract. What gathers must release. What rises must eventually return. You are not exempt from this law. You are woven into it. You are the rhythm itself, carried in the cosmic breath. And yet humanity has forgotten. We chase only the rising arc, growth, expansion, conquest, more speed, more power, more noise. We believe that to pause is to fail, that to rest is to lose, that stillness is weakness. But what expands without balance must collapse. What inhales without exhaling suffocates. What takes without giving consumes itself. This is why civilizations rise like towering flames, only to fall into ash, not from fate's cruelty, but from their refusal to honor the cycle. Nature does not resist the rhythm. Spring gives birth to summer. Summer bows to autumn. Autumn dies into winter, and winter whispers back into spring. The river bends without complaint. The moon waxes and wanes with grace. The tree does not mourn the falling of its leaves, for it knows they will return. Only humankind clings to permanence, trembling before silence, rejecting the trough while grasping the crest. And so we suffer, not because life punishes, but because balance corrects. The law will not be denied. What is withheld will be taken. What is overextended will be broken. What is ignored will return with greater force. Illness arrives when rest is denied. Collapse follows when restoration is refused. Balance does not vanish. It waits. If not restored by wisdom, it will be restored by necessity. And yet this is not judgment. It is grace. The universe does not punish. It breathes. It brings all back to center. To live in balance is not to stand still. It is to flow in rhythm with opposites, to know when to give and when to receive, when to strive and when to still, when to speak and when to listen. Balance is not absence of motion, but the perfect relationship between forces. Inhale is sacred, but so is the exhale. Expansion is life, but so is release. To resist is to shatter. To surrender is to align. When you begin to honor this rhythm, in your choices, in your work, in your breath, you step out of struggle and into harmony. You are no longer fighting the current, but moving with it. And from that place, life begins to unfold with grace, like waves rising and falling upon the shore, never in conflict, always in perfect return. This is the wisdom nature has always known. This is the rhythm you were born from, the cosmic breath that still moves through you now. All motion arises from two forces, not in conflict, but in a perfect dance of union. The cosmos does not move forward by singular will. It breathes through polarity. Every wave that crests must fall. Every current that expands must contract. Without this duality, there is no rhythm, no life, no form. Polarity is the hidden engine of creation, the eternal partnership of opposites woven into one pulse. Walter Russell revealed this truth. The two fundamental forces of existence are electricity and magnetism. Not separate powers, not rivals locked in battle, but twin expressions of one eternal force. Electricity radiates outward, dynamic, expanding, the masculine current of projection. Magnetism draws inward, unifying, restoring, the feminine current of return. They are not enemies, they are lovers in balance. One builds the ark of creation, the other holds it in place. Without electricity, form would never rise. Without magnetism, it would never endure. Look closely, and you will see this polarity everywhere. A seed bursts upward, yet also roots downward. The heart contracts and expands in sacred rhythm. Galaxies spiral outward, even as gravity gathers them inward. Atoms themselves are stabilized by this eternal embrace. Every motion forward is answered by a pull back to center. Every burst of fire finds its echo in stillness. This polarity lives within you. Your body is an electromagnetic field. Your heart pulses with polarity. Electrical signals firing, magnetic force binding. Every thought you hold, every emotion you feel, is a wave swinging between two poles. Action and stillness, giving and receiving, speaking and silence. When you are torn between extremes, you stand at the center of the universal engine, the living cross where electricity and magnetism meet. To lean too far toward one pole is to be broken. Action without pause burns the spirit. Stillness without motion withers the flame. Yet when you begin to live with polarity, to feel its rhythm instead of resisting it, you become a conductor of reality itself. You learn when to charge forward and when to fall back, when to release and when to draw in. You cease to fear the return, the silence, the contraction, and instead see the beauty of the swing. Polarity is not punishment. It is design. Light itself becomes visible only when polarized, structured, shaped into form. When depolarized, it vanishes not into death, but into the womb of formlessness, waiting to be reborn. The same is true for you. Every cycle of tension and release, every rise and fall in your life, is not destruction, but renewal. To know this is to stop resisting the oscillation. To live with polarity is to move as the ancients did, as the sages whispered. Energy is not to be hoarded but cycled. Light is not a straight line, but a spiral. Life is not favoring one side, but dancing in the harmony of both. Electricity alone consumes. Magnetism alone stagnates. Together, they lift, they awaken, they make whole. For centuries, humanity has lived bound by the cage of its senses. Eyes that see, ears that hear, skin that touches. We were told this was knowledge, that truth was confined to what could be measured, weighed, captured by instruments of flesh. And so we built entire civilizations on the surface of shadows, convinced that what flickered before us was all that could ever be. Yet the senses deceive, not out of malice, but by design. They do not reveal reality, they translate it, filtering infinite frequency into fragments our bodies can endure. What you call sight is not vision, but interpretation. What you call sound is not truth, but vibration molded into meaning. You are not touching reality. You are grazing the edges of its reflection. This is why, despite all the progress of man, a hunger remains unquenched, an emptiness beneath the towers and the screens. Something in us knows that the surface is not the source, that what we touch is not the essence, but the echo. We mistake simulation for substance, symbols for truth, shadows for the fire that casts them. And so we feel adrift, unanchored, restless, because we have forgotten how to know. Walter Russell called this the Great Transition, the crossing from sensing man to knowing man. It is not a shift of intellect, not the stacking of more data upon tired minds, but the death of illusion. To know is not to collect, it is to awaken. It is to pierce the veil of separation and glimpse the unity beneath. To see that tree, flame, star, and self are woven of the same living light, shaped by the same mind, pulsing with the same breath. This knowing is not learned, it is remembered, for it has never left you. The awakening does not come from seeking, but from surrender, from laying down the fever of the senses and stepping into the silent chamber within, where thought ceases to clamor and presence speaks in clarity. Here, the universal mind whispers, not in language, but in resonance, not in logic, but in knowing. And in that stillness, a current flows, living light without sound, a voice without words. Every great breakthrough humanity has ever known was born not from effort, but from reception. The artist does not invent beauty, they attune to it. The mystic does not chase truth, they yield to it. The scientist does not wrestle formulas into existence, they receive them in a flash of recognition, when the mind grows quiet enough for the universal field to be heard. This is knowing, instant, direct, undeniable, a frequency, not an argument. And when you touch this field, creation changes. You no longer build reality through struggle and control, but through resonance. Manifestation is no longer conquest, but coherence. You cease to chase and instead align. You cease to demand and instead harmonize. The cosmos responds not to your effort, but to your frequency. And when that frequency matches the eternal rhythm, reality bends with grace. This is the most radical transformation a human can endure. The return from blindness to vision, from noise to stillness, from chaos to design. Once you awaken to the knowing self, the fragment dissolves into the field. You walk differently, speak differently, choose differently. Fear softens into trust, reaction into response, hunger into harmony. For you are no longer a wanderer lost in appearances. You are a portal of the eternal mind. You are not a person seeking light. You are light seeking expression. You are not a creature trapped in matter. You are matter remembering it is light. And when the senses grow silent, the knowing rises like dawn. In that rising, man does not become more. He becomes whole. He remembers he was never asleep, only dreaming. When the veil dissolves and the illusion shatters, a revelation strikes with the weight of eternity. You are not a fragment wandering through a hostile cosmos. You are the cosmos awakening to itself. The mask of separateness, the fragile narrative of me and them, falls away like mist before the rising sun. In that moment, what once felt distant and unreachable becomes intimate, immediate, alive within you. The stars no longer hang in silence above, they blaze in your blood. The oceans no longer stretch below, they surge through your veins. The fire that births galaxies ignites within your heart, and the mind that holds planets in their orbit whispers your every thought into form. This knowing is not symbolic, not poetic metaphor. It is truth unveiled. The same elements forged in the collapse of ancient stars now shape your bones. The air you breathe carries the exhalations of trees you have never seen. The light in your eyes is the echo of a fire older than time. You are not apart from creation. You are its continuation, its expression, its voice. You are not in the universe. The universe is in you. And when this becomes more than a thought, when it becomes lived reality, everything changes. Fear evaporates, not because the world softens, but because you are no longer small before it. You stop clutching at control, because there is nothing to conquer and nothing to lose. You no longer chase purpose as if it were a prize outside of you, for you have become purpose embodied. You do not wait to be whole. You are wholeness now. You do not search for home. You discover that you have never left it. Others too begin to appear differently, no longer strangers or rivals, but reflections of the same infinite light wearing different faces. Their wounds are your wounds, their beauty your beauty, their longing your own. Judgment fades like ash in the wind. Comparison crumbles, for how can the ocean envy its own waves? Compassion ceases to be an effort. It becomes the natural rhythm of breath, the song of recognition. You begin to speak not as a fragment, but as the field. You say, I am, and it reverberates not only in your chest, but through every corner of creation. You are not this role, not this name, not this mask. You are the stillness that cradles every movement, the silence beneath every word, the flame flickering behind every gaze. You are formless light, momentarily sculpted into a human face. And in that recognition, you return to your original freedom. You realize you have always been creating, not someday, not after years of discipline, but now, with every thought, every belief, every vibration of your being. Reality has never been happening to you. It has always been happening through you. You are not a puppet dangling in the winds of fate. You are the wind itself, shaping, carrying, igniting. You are not a prisoner of time. You are the still presence within which time arises and dissolves. This is the climax of consciousness, the final unveiling. You are not separate from the divine. You are not waiting for the source. You are the source, discovering itself through form. The dreamer and the dream are one. The dancer and the dance are one. The experiencer and the experience are one. And once this veil has been pierced, there is no turning back, no forgetting, no retreat. What unfolds now is not the end of a journey, but the beginning of true seeing. Every breath becomes sacred, every silence becomes luminous, every step becomes an act of creation. For you are no longer reacting to life, you are initiating it. You are no longer gazing into the light, You are the light itself, radiant, eternal, awake. As the final veil falls away and the noise of striving dissolves into stillness, a quiet truth begins to rise, a truth that has no need for proof or persuasion. It is not found in words or written in books. It is felt in the marrow of being, in the rhythm of breath, in the luminous silence behind thought. You are no longer reaching outward, no longer straining to grasp what was never apart from you. The journey ends where it began, within. Here, in the center of awareness, the universal mind reveals itself, not as something distant to be sought, but as the very ground of your existence. It is not the mind you once believed was yours, limited, restless, clouded by worry and desire. That was only a ripple on the surface of a far deeper sea. The true mind, the universal mind, has been dreaming through you all along. Every thought you claimed as mine, every insight you believed was born of effort, was a fragment of this greater intelligence moving in your shape. The wave never realized it was the ocean until it turned inward and saw. In this recognition, struggle ends. There is nothing to earn, nothing to chase, nothing to prove. You are not a seeker desperate for answers. You are the field from which all answers arise. You are not a wanderer lost in the dark. You are the light that reveals the path. You are not a fragment yearning for wholeness. You are the wholeness itself, temporarily forgetting its own reflection. And in remembering, the weight of separation falls away like a shadow that never truly was. Now, the rhythm quiets. Not silence as absence, but silence as presence, the fullness that remains when all striving ceases. The inhale and the exhale meet in balance. Expansion and contraction find their perfect symmetry. This is the equilibrium the cosmos has been teaching since the first spark of creation. The wisdom written in stars and tides now pulses in your chest, reminding you that you are not a spectator of this rhythm. You are the rhythm. To embrace the universal mind is not to abandon the world, but to finally see it for what it is, a mirror of your own being, light shaped into temporary forms, reflections of the same eternal fire. Every face you meet, every sound you hear, every moment you inhabit is the universe remembering itself through you. The stranger passing on the street is not other. They are your reflection walking in another form. The river is your blood in motion. The sky is your breath expanded into infinity. The earth beneath your feet is your own body resting in stillness. And so the search ends, not with conquest, but with surrender. Not with answers, but with presence. Not with a conclusion, but with a beginning. Because to awaken to the universal mind is to realize that life is not a puzzle to be solved, but a song to be sung. The music is already playing, and you are both the listener and the melody itself. You are the light, you are the rhythm, you are the field, you are the force, and the world you experience is not apart from you. It is you, endlessly unfolding, endlessly creating, endlessly returning to the silence that births it all. Breathe and begin again. Everywhere you turn, you encounter your own reflection. The trees that stretch into the heavens are not separate guardians of life, but extensions of your own being. The rivers that carve the earth's skin are the veins of your greater body. The stars shimmering in the night sky are not distant fires. They are memories of yourself, ancient flames that once collapsed into dust, only to reassemble as the bones within you. The illusion of separation dissolves, and you begin to see the one truth repeating itself endlessly. All is one, and one is all. The mind that shaped galaxies is the same mind that shapes your thoughts, and the pulse that breathes suns into existence is the same pulse that carries your heartbeat. There is no line dividing observer and observed, no curtain shielding the dancer from the dance. It has always been one movement, one rhythm, one field of awareness expressing itself in infinite disguises. You have never been looking at the world. You have been looking into a mirror, and what you call reality is your own reflection gazing back. Yet this recognition is not a loss of individuality, it is the flowering of it. The drop does not cease to exist when it knows it is the ocean. It becomes more than it ever was. It discovers its true nature, limitless, unbound, eternal. Likewise, when you awaken from the dream of separateness, your uniqueness does not vanish. It becomes luminous, a particular song in the great symphony of being. Every note matters, every tone is sacred, because it belongs to the whole. To live from this knowing is to move differently through the world. Fear loosens its grip, for there is nothing outside of you that can threaten the essence of what you are. Envy fades, for you see in another's triumph your own expansion. Hatred dissolves, for to harm another would be to wound your own body. What remains is compassion, not as duty, but as instinct, as natural as breath. The hand extends because the body is one. The heart opens because it recognizes itself in every face. The mirror of creation does not judge, does not punish, does not reward. It simply reflects. If you cast out fear, fear returns to you. If you radiate love, love multiplies in your path. Reality is not something happening to you. It is happening through you, responding with perfect precision to the image you hold within. The world bends around the frequency of your being, echoing back the song you sing. This is the great secret hidden in plain sight. You are not at the mercy of reality. You are its author. You are not waiting for the universe to grant you permission. You are the universe, writing itself into existence with every thought, every breath, every heartbeat. And when this truth becomes more than an idea, when it becomes your lived awareness, the mirror ceases to be a prison of illusions and becomes a canvas of endless creation. You are not simply alive in the world is alive in you. All motion is born of two currents, two forces entwined in a perfect embrace. They are not enemies, not rivals in eternal conflict, but partners in a sacred dance. Electricity stretches outward like fire, bold, radiant, thrusting light into distance. Magnetism draws inward like gravity, silent, enfolding, gathering the scattered into wholeness. One breathes out, the other breathes in. Together they weave the fabric of existence, the rhythm of creation itself. Without polarity, there would be no wave, no star, no life. Every heartbeat is their dialogue, an impulse of electricity surging, followed by the magnetic embrace that gathers it back. Your very thoughts are shaped by this dance, sparking outward as ideas, then returning inward to settle into clarity. The cosmos itself is not built upon matter, but upon the oscillation between these poles, the pulse of the infinite engine. This is why galaxies spiral and atoms hold their form. This is why trees rise and rivers fall. This is why your breath moves in tides. Humanity, blind to this unity, has often named one pole good and the other bad, valuing action over stillness, expansion over rest, giving over receiving. But this is folly, for electricity without magnetism burns to ashes, and magnetism without electricity freezes into silence. Only together are they whole. Only in their rhythm is life sustained. To choose one over the other is to deny the law of balance, to resist the very forces that carry you into being. When you live as if polarity were conflict, life feels like a battle, striving, resisting, forcing the world into submission. But when you see polarity as harmony, everything changes. The push and pull becomes a dance. Your actions are no longer frantic bursts, but measured steps in rhythm with the cosmos. You know when to move forward, when to retreat, when to give, when to receive. You stop burning yourself in ceaseless fire or drowning in endless stillness. You begin to flow. This is not weakness, it is mastery. To live with polarity is to become a conductor, shaping reality not by domination, but by alignment. You feel the currents, you listen to their swing, and you learn to ride them like waves. Suddenly, life ceases to be a chain of accidents. It becomes music. You are not caught between two forces. You are the still center through which they pass, the silent axis around which the eternal dance turns. In that center lies freedom. In that balance lies power. And when you learn to honor the pulse of polarity, you discover that you were never divided. You were always whole, always the meeting point of fire and gravity, always the cross of light, where creation breathes itself into form. For ages, humanity has lived bound to the tyranny of the senses. Eyes that see form but not essence, ears that catch sound but miss silence, skin that touches pressure yet never substance. We mistook these fleeting translations for truth. We built cities on shadows, sciences on appearances, and identities upon echoes. And though our towers rose and our machines grew sharper, something within us remained unsatisfied, an emptiness that no measurement could fill. The senses do not lie maliciously. They lie by design. They are instruments of survival, not revelation. They reduce infinity into fragments, compressing the boundless into what the nervous system can endure. What you see is not what is. It is what you are able to bear. Thus, the world presented to you is but a mask, a projection flickering like firelight on the wall of a cave. Behind it waits the true field, vast, unbroken, eternal. To awaken from this dream is not to sharpen the senses further, but to transcend them. Walter Russell called this the shift from the sensing man to the knowing man. The moment when you no longer cling to the reports of your eyes or the verdicts of your ears, but begin to hear the silent voice within. It is not knowledge accumulated, not facts gathered, not data stored. It is recognition, a remembering, a sudden clarity that pierces illusion and shows you the unity behind all division. This knowing is not a thought, it is a state. It does not arrive through effort, but through surrender. When the restless chatter of the mind quiets, when the senses grow still, a new perception emerges. You feel it rather than think it. You become it rather than observe it. It is the light that does not shine. It is the light that sees. The awareness that was always there, waiting beneath the noise of appearances. Every true insight in human history has come this way. The flash of inspiration that floods the scientist's mind, the vision that pours through the hands of the artist, the silent revelation of the mystic. None of these were constructed by effort. They were received. They were moments when the personal mind dissolved and the universal mind spoke. To know is to become a vessel for this current, to open and let the river flow. And when this awakening comes, life itself begins to change. You no longer chase meaning. You radiate it. You no longer fight to control reality. You move in coherence with it. Manifestation becomes less about force and more about resonance. The chaos of striving gives way to the order of alignment. You begin to see that the tree, the star, the stranger, and yourself are all the same light, shaped into different rhythms. This is the return humanity has been longing for. Not faster machines or taller towers, but the reactivation of the knowing self. The self that is not bound by body or history, but is pure awareness, timeless and whole. When you live from that place, the world no longer appears fractured. The barriers fall, the distances collapse, and you walk not as a fragment, but as the field itself. You are not merely perceiving creation, you are creation perceiving itself. And in that realization, the senses surrender, and knowing takes their throne. When the veil dissolves, when the illusion falls away, you awaken into a vision that cannot be undone. You no longer see yourself as a solitary figure drifting through an indifferent universe. You recognize that you are the universe beholding itself. The stars do not burn in distant skies, they blaze within your very being. The oceans are not beneath your feet, they surge in your veins. The fire that forges galaxies is the same flame that ignites your breath. There is no separation, no border between self and other, between the one who observes and that which is observed. The walls fall away, and what is left is unity, not as metaphor, not as philosophy, but as direct knowing. The same atoms in your bones were born in the collapse of ancient suns. The air you draw into your lungs was once exhaled by forests long vanished. You are not apart from life. You never were. You are life itself, endlessly folding and unfolding, and in that realization, fear dissolves. You no longer attempt to control reality. You collaborate with it. You no longer chase after purpose. You realize you are purpose embodied. The endless seeking, the restless striving, the gnawing hunger, all of it falls silent. You are no longer the drop thirsting for the ocean. You are the ocean pouring itself into form. Others appear different no longer. The stranger's eyes are not separate from your own. They are another mirror of the same light. Their pain is your pain, their joy your joy. Judgment fades, comparison loses its power, and compassion becomes as natural as breathing. You love not because it is virtuous, but because it is inevitable. When all is seen as one, kindness is not a choice. It is truth made visible. From this center, you speak differently, walk differently, exist differently. You no longer say, I am this role, this name, this mask. You declare simply, I am, and that utterance reverberates through the fabric of creation. You are the silence behind sound, the stillness beneath motion, the light that shapes itself into human form only to remember its infinity. This realization is not the end of a journey. It is the beginning of true creation. You see that every thought, every belief, every fear you have ever carried was an act of shaping reality. Life is not happening to you. It is happening through you. You are not a puppet of chance, but a sculptor of light, not a traveler in time, but the space through which time unfolds, not a seeker of truth, but the field where truth reveals itself. Once you awaken to this, you cannot return to blindness. Once you feel it, you cannot forget it. The shift is permanent, irreversible. You no longer play on the stage. You are the light that illuminates it. Every step becomes an act of alignment, every breath a sacred rhythm, every silence a doorway into presence. And in that presence, you know, the dancer and the dance are one, the dreamer and the dream are one, the experiencer and the experience are one. This is the final unveiling, the great convergence of all paths into stillness, awareness, and light. And from here, there is no more division, no more searching, only the radiant simplicity of being. And now, as the great rhythm softens, as the current quiets, there is only stillness. Not the stillness of absence, but the stillness of presence. The storm has passed, the searching is over, and what remains is clarity, luminous and whole. You are no longer grasping for truth beyond yourself. You are seated within it. You are not on a path to arrive. You are the path itself, the movement and the resting, the question and the answer. The mind you believed to be your own was never separate. It was the universal mind, dreaming in your shape, speaking in your voice, breathing in your chest. And as the dream dissolves, what emerges is not loss, but recognition. There was never a division. The light that burns in the stars is the same light that pulses in your blood. The silence that holds galaxies in balance is the same silence that steadies your thoughts. You are not a fragment, drifting and fragile. You are the fabric itself, vast and indivisible. You are not a wanderer in an alien world. You are the world awakening to itself. Every heartbeat echoes the pulse of creation. Every inhale mirrors the cosmic breath. To live in this awareness is not to retreat from life, but to step into it fully, without fear, without resistance, without the endless hunger for what was never missing. Here, compassion flows without effort. Wisdom arises without calculation. Power moves without domination. For you are no longer a self striving against the universe. You are the universe flowing as a self. And in that recognition, balance is effortless. The pendulum no longer swings violently. It rests in harmony, each motion sacred, each return inevitable and perfect. Breathe now. Feel the light within your chest. Feel the current of stillness beneath your thoughts. This is not the end. It is the beginning, the eternal beginning. For every breath is creation anew, every moment an opportunity to remember. You are not apart from the source. You are the source discovering itself in infinite forms. You are the rhythm, the field, the flame, the silence. You are the universal mind made visible, dreaming itself into beauty. And so you need not search any longer. You need only awaken. You need only be. The circle closes, yet nothing ends. The wave retreats, yet nothing is lost. For in every silence lies the seed of sound, and in every fading star, the promise of dawn. The universe breathes not toward conclusion, but toward renewal, and you are carried within that breath, eternal, unbroken. You will forget, and you will remember. You will fall into shadow, and you will rise into light. You will believe yourself separate, only to awaken again to the truth of unity. This is the rhythm of existence, the eternal return. Not punishment, not repetition, but the sacred spiral turning endlessly, lifting you higher with each revolution. Look now, not with the eyes of flesh, but with the eyes of knowing. The stranger who passes you on the street is not other, but a reflection of yourself. The stars that glimmer in the vast expanse are not distant, but the fire within your own being. The oceans, the forests, the winds, they are your breath, your body, your mind, wearing different forms. To live with this remembrance is to walk differently, to see the world not as a stage of division, but as a mirror of your own awareness. It is to move through life not as a seeker, but as a creator, no longer asking, "Who am I?" but declaring, "I am." It is to stand in stillness, knowing that the dance continues through you. And so the journey ends where it began, in light. Not the light of suns or fires, but the light of being itself, radiant, eternal, indivisible. You are not merely in that light. You are that light. You are the eternal return, the spiral that never breaks, the silence that never ceases. Remember this, and every moment becomes sacred. Forget it, and life will remind you again. For truth cannot be lost. It waits, patient and infinite, until you are ready to see. And when you are, you will smile, for you will know. You were never searching. You were always home. The journey that seemed so vast, so unreachable, folds now into stillness. Not the stillness of absence, but the stillness of presence. A silence that holds all sound, a void that births every form. You no longer search for beginnings or endings, for both dissolve in the same horizon. You breathe, and in that breath the rhythm of creation is revealed. The inhale as becoming, the exhale as returning, the pause as eternal balance. Nothing more is required. Nothing more is missing. Here, the illusions fall away like veils lifted by dawn. The weight of separation melts. The striving dissolves. The endless questions quiet. What remains is not another concept, not another philosophy, but a direct knowing. You are the very mind that dreamed itself into being. The universe is not outside you. It moves through you, as you. The light you sought has always been within. The rhythm you followed has always been your own heartbeat, echoing the pulse of the cosmos. Everywhere you look, you see yourself reflected. In the curve of the sky, in the gaze of a stranger, in the falling leaf and the rising star. The world is no longer a stage of chaos and chance, but a mirror of your own consciousness, shaping and reshaping itself with every thought, every act, every silence. To see this is to no longer be bound by fear. For what is there to fear when all is one? When the center has never been lost, you understand now that the universal mind was never apart from you, never hidden, never distant. It was only veiled by the noise of the senses, by the illusion of separateness. In awakening, you do not acquire something new. You remember what has always been true. The truth is simple, radiant, complete. You are light. You are rhythm. You are the intelligence that holds galaxies together and whispers eternity through the breath of a single human life. This is not the end, but the beginning of true seeing. To live from this place is to live aligned. Every step in resonance, every word a vibration of harmony, every silence a doorway into presence. You are no longer a fragment, but the field itself, vast, infinite, whole. And so you return, not as one who searches, but as one who knows. You carry no burden, no mask, no need for answers. You walk with clarity, with compassion, with the quiet power of one who remembers. The dreamer and the dream are one. You are not apart from creation. You are creation, breathing itself awake.